Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome. My name is Harry Coulter-Pinner. I am the Executive Director here at IPPR, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this really important and timely event. When the government came to office just over 8 months ago, there was a set of really difficult challenges facing the Secretary of State and the government. The first is a growing crisis of economic inactivity. So too many people locked out of the labour market, often with the potential to work, but without the support to get back into work. Secondly, of course, rising poverty and deprivation, particularly amongst young people and pensioners, with trends that were going in the right direction, going in the wrong direction. And the third is higher levels of economic insecurity. So even with people in work, we've got too many in low pay, low productivity jobs. So a really difficult set of challenges. And over many years, IPPR has made the case for reform, that if you can reform the social security system, the way our labour market works, you can deliver better outcomes. So we have talked about a higher minimum wage, we've talked about stronger worker rights, we've talked about a reformed job centre offer that supports people into work, and a more generous income floor for when people need it. And this new Labour government has started to tackle some of those issues, and I'm sure Liz will talk about that at length in her speech. The worker rights agenda, a high minimum wage already put into place, and of course the Disability Green Paper looking to ramp up support. But the fiscal constraints the government is under, some imposed by the markets and the inheritance, some self-imposed, has meant that the context for this reform is really difficult, and there are really difficult choices that the government is facing. And there has been obviously criticism over the last few months of some of those decisions. And the point of this event here today is for to give a platform to the government to talk about the reforms that it's delivering, what it's trying to achieve, and to debate some of those choices and challenges and what lies ahead. And we're delighted to be hosting the Secretary of State to have that conversation. It's a really important conversation for the future of the country. Before I hand over to the Secretary of State, I would like to introduce Dominic Jones. At IPPR, we take designing policy with those people who are using the services and that benefit from the services really seriously. It's really important. And Dominic is someone who has experienced the job centre and the social security system recently, and he's going to say a few words about his experience. I'm going to hand over to you first, Dominic.
Hi, I'm Dominic, and I'm here with Connor, who's just over here. We're from the Streatham Job Centre. I'm here to talk to you today about my story with how I found working and just life in general, really. I won't take too much time. At age 9, I was diagnosed with having autism and ADHD. It was an isolating time for me because as a kid, you're just focused on trying just to make friends and just be a kid. So being diagnosed with a mental health difficulty really adds to the pressure of just trying to live a normal life. And it was very difficult at school as well because I always felt like I was very different to a lot of other kids. So it was a very isolating time, and I would always get bullied, whether it was by the teachers or by the other students, because I started going to go to mainstream school, which didn't work because I was there for maybe 2 years, and then I was pulled out because my dad saw that they weren't teaching me anything. So my dad got me reading and writing within 6 weeks, which is funny because he's not a teacher. He just literally works for McDonald's, or he did at the time. And then at 16 or 17, I don't remember specifically what age, but around about that, I was then taken into the care system due to difficulties at home because I'm not able to live with my family through many sorts of different reasons. And whenever the topic came up at school about where I live, because kids, they are so curious, as we all know, kids are cruel, whether they mean to or not. And they always ask me about my home situation. I'd always say that I live with myself or live by myself because it was easier and it felt less embarrassing to say that I was a care kid. And then also because of the family struggles as well, it's become a huge barrier for me to finding work, again, because of the family difficulties and the fact that I'm the only one in my family that struggles with mental disabilities, not mental health, because we all struggle with that. And it's all important that we do take time to literally help ourselves with all sorts of issues that are going on in the world. It just adds to it with the pressures of finances on top of, trying to run a family. My first job was actually during the pandemic. So for a lot of people, the pandemic was a horrible time, but I guess you could say it was okay for me, which is, I'm sure I'm the only person you're ever going to hear that from. I was actually working for a large supermarket in the warehouse, which I really love that job. It didn't last too long, unfortunately, because it was only like a temporary contract. Back then, it was horrible, like nobody knew what was going on, especially during lockdown. Then in the year after, I worked for a bar in Victoria, which doesn't exist anymore. It's their fault for firing me. Because I was actually in charge of making sure the bar was stocked, serving customers like soft drinks, some alcohol, but not cocktails. And the customers actually kept coming back when I was on shift, which, shows that shows that they liked me. Probably why they don't exist anymore, because the customers didn't come back. But for many reasons, I have struggled to stay in employment, where it's the lack of connect, where, again, with my needs, I find it difficult to tell employers, because although we've got the disability confident, where, they're guaranteed to give you an interview if you meet the criteria, if you got it, there's legal loopholes that, I can't remember what they are at the top of my head, but there's legal loopholes that literally says, if you tick a box and says you've got disabilities, they don't have to hire you. Which is why I always, when the menu comes down, I always say I haven't, just because it puts you on the same level. Because they say they will hire you or will consider you, they won't discriminate against your disability, but they literally do. It's literally written into like a loophole that they literally do it all the time. It's like subconscious. And unfortunately, until employers actually are forced to make an actual proper law, it's going to keep happening, which is why that needs to be changed. But at the moment, I have actually got a job now, a new job which I'm starting later today, actually. It's for a catering company called the Clink Project, which I'll go into that in just a second. Basically, it's going to be £15 an hour, so, not too bad, for 120 hours. In total, and the shift later is actually at the Cyprus government, so it's like no low-class job, it's like high-end. It's going to be front of house, interacting with people, which, I love that. Like I say, I've got 5 years of customer service. The dream job is obviously something in retail, like, all sorts. I won't name them just in case you're not allowed to, because, yeah. But that's the dream job, just because I find that despite my history, I would say actually because of my history, it's given me more the reason to why I want to help people, because I was put in a dreadful situation for like 8 years, because as it is, I'm a care leaver, which I'm dealing with some issues at the moment around tax and stuff, but the social work I've got now is helping me with that, just because you're not supposed to pay tax if you're under 24 and, under 25 and you care leaver. But the job that I've got is, it's called the Clink Project. It was set up 14 years ago, for those of you who do not know, in a women's prison in Highdown, or in Downfields, in Belmont, Sutton area. The idea was that women would come out of prison with qualifications that these places would give them, and then they'd be able to go into the industry they come out, be in the industry so that they're able to support themselves, which I think is a brilliant idea. And it got so popular that they had literally opened up a training kitchen in Herne Hill, and I was one of the first lot that went there. So it was a 3-month program. It's 5 qualifications. I can't remember the names. It was level 2, and it also included working in the kitchen, like butchering chickens, flaking fish, as well as doing baristing front of house, because we would actually serve people on the industrial estate, as well as people from the office. That's literally what this job is. It's from them. So it's 120 hours guaranteed. You can work when you want to, which is very nice. I've already told them I'm taking July off. But I would say that what's helped a lot is actually my work coach, Beverly, who Connor here is in charge of. She also has autism like me, and that's what I think has helped, because if you have people that actually understand the diagnosis, like the job market's already horrible, we all know that. But if you have somebody that actually understands how truly difficult it is for like autistic people, we feel we have more difficulties than say neurotypical people, and so we find it, well, we struggle a lot harder to stay in work for whatever reasons. I can't give specific because everyone's different. But I found it with Beverly, because she understood the autism, because she's autism and she's got an autistic son herself, she understood the market a lot better than, say, any minister could, because she's been in there. She's struggled with it. So that's why I think that's why I'm glad she gave me this opportunity, just because, like I say, she understood and she knew how great it was, so she sort of pushed me to doing it. Because we all know examples, not everyone, but we know examples where people will get these opportunities and they'll just go like, no, I don't want to do it, I want to stay on benefits. Like, personally, I hate benefits and I want to be off of it and actually earn my own money, because I never want to be rich unless I've earned that. Because getting free money doesn't feel as good as earning it, because you get bored very quickly. So if you're constantly having a job that provides a satisfying, well, a job that you like, it doesn't feel like a job. Plus, you're earning your living for yourself, and you can have fun at the same time. So you can mix your social and professional life together. Obviously, don't mix it too much, but like no office romance. But that's why, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Job Centre, specifically the Streatham one, because I have had different ones. I used to live in Croydon and Thornton Heath, which although there were some good ones there, they're not as good as the Streatham Job Centre. And I think that just comes down just to random luck. Like, if you hire more people with the more diagnosis, which is why you need a whole range of diverse people in the job centre so that they can understand everyone's needs, because you can't have the one fit suits all. That doesn't work. But I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the Job Centre, and also thank you for the Clink project for giving me the opportunity. And very quickly, just because it'd be wrong if I didn't mention this, I am from Croydon, and it's actually amazing to think someone like me, who's from Croydon, as we all know, Croydon's got a certain reputation. It seems incredible to think that someone like me from Croydon's actually being able to speak here and actually get to speak to all of you and interact with the Secretary of State, because having a job and doing this feels like sort of like I belong now in this world. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dominic. You absolutely do belong, and thank you so much for coming and speaking to us today. It's a really great way to kick off today's event, so congratulations and good luck in the new job. I'm now going to welcome Liz Kendall, Secretary of State at the DWP, one of IPPR's most esteemed alumni, to come and talk to us about the government's reform agenda. So welcome, Liz. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you, Harry. I'm very grateful to my former employer, IPPR, for hosting us today, and to all of you for taking the time to come along. I'm especially grateful to Dominic for sharing us his experiences, and I thought that was really important for us to hear today about the benefits that work brings to you, the struggles you've faced, and your ambitions and hopes for the future. I want to talk about the government's welfare reforms, how they will help transform people's lives as part of our plan for change, how they follow in the footsteps of the great reforming Labour governments of the past, rooted in our enduring values of fairness, equality and opportunity, how these reforms will help ensure our welfare state is sustainable for the future, and how I believe they're crucial to fighting the rise in populist politics, which offers easy but empty solutions to the people we came into politics to serve. Now, getting Britain working is central to the government's plan for change. It's vital to delivering higher living standards in every part of Britain. And it's vital to achieving the #1 mission of this government, which is growing the economy. But getting Britain working is about so much more than this. It's about giving people the dignity and self-respect that we know good work brings. The purpose and belonging that Dominic spoke about so powerfully. It's about improving the health of the nation, because we know good work is good for people's mental and physical health and can help reduce pressure on the NHS. And getting Britain working is critical to driving down child poverty and ensuring every child starts school ready to learn, perhaps the single most important step to transforming equality and opportunity in this country. And the scale and urgency of our task is there for all to see. Nearly 1 in 10 people of working age are now on at least one sickness or disability benefit. A near record 2.8 million people are out of work due to long-term sickness. 1 million young people are not in education, employment or training. That's more than 1 in 8 of our young people, with all the long-term consequences this brings for their future health, job prospects and earnings potential. And 300,000 people with health conditions are falling out of work every single year, piling up even greater problems for the future. And the result is millions of people who could work written off and denied the chance to build a better life, with all these challenges far worse in parts of the Midlands and the North, whose economies were decimated in the 80s and 90s when whole industries closed, and who have never been given the investment support and opportunity they need to recover. And taxpayers have been left paying billions more on the cost of Conservative failure, with the benefits bill for sickness and disability up 20 billion since the pandemic and set to rise by a further 18 billion by the end of this Parliament unless we change course. And the truth is, it doesn't have to be this way. We are the only economy in the G7 whose employment rate still hasn't returned to pre-pandemic levels. And spending on sickness and disability benefits in most other comparable countries is either stable or falling since the pandemic, yet ours continues to inexorably rise. There is nothing Labour about accepting the cost of this economic, but above all social crisis, paid for in people's life chances and living standards. And there is nothing inevitable about Britain's future path if we have the courage and conviction to act. We must start shifting so much spending on the costs of failure to investing in the jobs, skills and public services that people need to build a better life. And this requires leadership and it requires reform. Now, the truth is, welfare reform is never easy and it is rarely popular, perhaps especially for Labour governments. But no responsible Labour government can resile from taking decisions because they are too difficult, because this is not good enough for the people we came into politics to serve. So we will reform the welfare state, just as great reforming Labour governments have done in the past, changing it to meet the social and demographic challenges of today and tomorrow, and delivering the fairness, equality and opportunity people need and deserve. Now, we know change is possible because we've done it before. Take the fight for women's equality in the 80s, 90s and noughties. It was Labour women MPs and trade unionists who campaigned for and then legislated to transform opportunities for women. We changed the world of work with rights to maternity pay. We invested in childcare with the first ever national childcare strategy and thousands of Sure Start children's centres. We delivered active employment support with the groundbreaking New Deal for lone parents, transforming women's participation in the workplace and their equality, independence and freedom through work. We must now bring the same focus, energy and commitment to doing the same for sick and disabled people, reforming the welfare state to offer them the same rights and chances to work as anybody else. When the welfare state was created, average life expectancy was 65, and the most common cause of illness and death was infectious diseases and accidents. Now, average life expectancy is around 80, and 1 in 7 babies born today is likely to live to 100. Back then, disability was the exception. Now 1 in 4 of us self-reports as disabled, and 1 in 3 of us will have a long-term health condition. But the welfare state has simply not kept pace with these changes. Our benefit system in particular forces too many sick and disabled people into a binary choice of can or can't work, when we know many people's physical and mental health conditions fluctuate, and many sick and disabled people want to and need to work. The system then writes people off and traps them without offering any help or support. The number of people on the health top-up of universal credit is set to rise by 50% to 3 million by the end of the decade, and the number of people on personal independence payments is set to more than double to 4.3 million. There are now 1,000 new PIP awards every single day. That's the equivalent of adding a city the size of Leicester every single year. This is not sustainable or fair for the people who need support and for taxpayers. So unless we reform the system to help those who can work to do so, unless we get social security spending on a more sustainable footing, and unless we ensure public money is focused on those with the greatest need and is spent in ways that have the best chance of improving people's lives, the risk is the welfare state won't be there for people who really need it in future. That is why we are grasping the nettle of reform, not for the sake of it, but to ensure the welfare state lasts for generations to come. Now, we have already made huge strides in getting Britain working and growing again. We are improving the quality of work and making work pay with our landmark employment rights bill. We're creating more good jobs in every part of the country, from clean energy to construction and through our modern industrial strategy. And we are investing an additional £26 billion this year to drive down waiting lists, because getting people back to health is crucial to getting them back to work. But we also need big changes in our system of social security and employment support to deliver greater fairness and opportunity. Our plans are based on 3 clear objectives. First, overhauling the system to help those who can work get into work and stay in work. Last autumn, our Get Britain Working white paper kicked off the biggest reforms to employment support in a generation, backed by an additional £240 million. Overhauling our job centres to create a new National Jobs and Careers Service and shift the focus away from benefit administration alone. Investing in 16 new trailblazing programmes right across the country, led by mayors and local areas, to join up work, health and skills support, ensure every young person is earning or learning, and to tackle the scar of economic inactivity. This spring, we announced a further £1 billion a year in our new Pathways to Work offer, along with programmes like Workwell, Connect to Work, which is being rolled out to the whole of England and Wales by December, and freeing up 1,000 work coaches to support sick and disabled people. Pathways to Work will guarantee a comprehensive offer of health, work and skills support for anyone who needs it, rolling out from next April when our benefit changes start to come in. The biggest ever package of support for sick and disabled people. To underpin these changes in employment support, we're also creating a more proactive pro-work system. We're consulting on a new unemployment insurance to provide a higher rate of time-limited income protection for people who lose their job but have paid into the system. We're scrapping the failed work capability assessment and the Conservatives' discredited WCA plans to help end the binary can-can't work divide. We are reforming universal credit to encourage people to find work and not stay on benefits, reducing the health top-up for new claims from April 2026, alongside active help to find work, and bringing in a sustained above-inflation increase to the standard allowance in universal credit for the first time ever, delivering a cash increase of £725 a year by the end of the Parliament. We're introducing a new right to try work by legislating to guarantee that work in and of itself will never lead to someone being called in for a benefit assessment, to give people the confidence to take the plunge and try work. To underpin our youth guarantee, we're consulting on delaying access to the health top-up in universal credit until someone is aged 22, with the savings reinvested into work support and training opportunities. And we will support employers to recruit and retain more disabled people with health conditions through our Keep Britain Working review, led by the former boss of John Lewis, Sir Charlie Mayfield. The second objective of our plans is to protect those who cannot work. Those with the most severe, lifelong conditions that will never improve and who can never work will have their universal credit protected, including young people aged under 22. And we will guarantee they will never be reassessed in future, removing totally unnecessary stress, anxiety, and uncertainty. To improve trust, we will also fundamentally overhaul our safeguarding approach to ensure all our processes and training are of the highest possible quality and to protect and support vulnerable people. Our third objective is to focus personal independent payments on those with higher needs and to review the PIP assessment to ensure it is fair and fit for purpose. I know the concerns that have been raised about our proposals. I am listening carefully to all the points people raise. But 9 out of 10 people claiming PIP at the point when the changes come into force in November 2026 will not be affected by the end of the Parliament. And even with the changes we are making, there will still be 750,000 more people receiving PIP by the end of this Parliament than there were at the start. And spending will be £8 billion higher than it is now, rising faster than GDP and faster than spending on public services. In making our changes, we are preserving PIP as a vital cash benefit that makes a contribution towards the extra cost of living with a disability, not means testing it and not replacing it with vouchers as the Tories proposed. We are consulting on how best to support those who will no longer be eligible, including so their health and care needs are met. We will improve the experience of those going through the PIP assessment, switching back to more face-to-face assessments and recording them as standard. And we have begun the first review of the PIP assessment in more than a decade, including the descriptors, and in consultation with disabled people and the organisations that represent them to ensure it is fair and fit for purpose. Taken together, our measures will reform the system to support those who can work to do so, to protect those who cannot, and to help ensure our welfare state lasts for generations to come. I want to finish by saying this. When I travel around the country, I know the places with the highest levels of economic inactivity and the largest number of people on sickness and disability benefits are the same places with the worst health, lowest life expectancy and fewest opportunities. The villages, towns and cities, especially in parts of the Midlands and the North, whose economies have still not recovered from the 80s and 90s, where economic demand remains weakest. Places that are full of talent and ambition, but which need the investment in jobs, infrastructure, skills and public services to build a better life for themselves and their communities. People in this country rightly demand change. But populist politics, the politics of division and easy but empty solutions, won't deliver the change people are crying out for. They need real hope, built on real solutions. And that is what this Labour government is doing, tackling problems that have been ducked or ignored for too long, because the failure to do so is precisely why people think politics doesn't matter and that politicians are all the same. Change of this scale isn't easy, but it is possible, and we know this because we have done it before. Labour's mission is to give people hope tomorrow will be better than today, that we will create the jobs, opportunities and public services people want and deserve, because a future dependent on benefits alone is not good enough for people in Blackpool, Birkenhead or Blaenau Gwent. I am confident we will deliver, because all the evidence shows hundreds of thousands of sick and disabled people want to work, that when they have a government that is on their side and provides the right support, they can get work, and that this can transform their lives. Our task is urgent, not just because we only have 4 more years of this Parliament, which is no time at all, although this is true. Not just because we must deliver real change to fight the rise in support for populists, although we must, but because the people who we came into politics to serve cannot and should not wait any longer for a chance to build a decent life, because they have waited far too long already. This is why we fought for 14 long, hard years in opposition, for the chance to change our country. So now, let's get on with the job. Thank you. Now, before I take questions, we're going to hear from more of the people that we've been able to support.
A lot of young people are finding it difficult to find work. They may have barriers such as mental health.
If I had to say something to young people is don't give up, even if they knock you down 100 times. It will be there, the opportunity, and you just have to not give up.
I got very depressed because I had been out of work for quite a few years. Going into the job centre, I spoke to the young lady and she basically said, the NHS wants you, they need you. It opened up the biggest door possible.
Job centres are very good places for disabled people to come. Many of them have health needs varying from severe physical disabilities through to mental health disabilities. As a disabled person myself, who started their working life in 1988, I feel that I have the appropriate experience, knowledge, empathy and understanding in order to be able to help other people.
Not having a job had an effect on my confidence. On a bad day, I'm really low, sad, cry. You just don't feel like you're worth anything. But I spoke to my work coach, I got the right support. Now I'm doing work experience, so from work experience, this could definitely lead on to getting myself a job, starting a career. At the moment, I'm very positive.
I had a few jobs here and there, but I was never really able to sort of hold one down. My starting point, speaking to my disability support officer, and then from there, it was just kind of a real turning point in terms of what I could do. Most important lessons I think I've learned throughout my whole story: don't let a condition define the person that you are and you want to be.